Today, an indictment was unsealed, charging Donald J. Trump with felony violations of our national security laws, as well as participating in a conspiracy to obstruct justice. This indictment was voted by a grand jury of citizens in the Southern District of Florida, and I invite everyone to read it in full to understand the scope and the gravity of the crimes charged.
That is the special counsel announcing basically the strategy going forward for the DOJ when it comes to the now many charges against Donald Trump in the classified documents scandal. Jack Smith has not been a very visible face of the investigation that much. You'll probably hear more about him in the near future. In fact, you'll hear from Donald Trump if you go on Truth Social that Jack Smith is a psycho as well as his wife. So very different opinions about the special counsel depending on who you ask. But he only gave a few minutes of remarks. He told people, as you saw, to read the full indictment. I believe it was around 40 pages or so. And there's a lot there that we're gonna be diving into. The bottom line though is, it is not 7 counts. We thought yesterday that's what it would be. It's 38 federal charges revealed in the indictment, 31 related to withholding national defense information. That is 1 count against him for each document that he was alleged to keep in his possession. Of course, that is not all of the documents that he had. That is a subset that specifically have to do with national defense. There were 5 counts related to concealing possession of classified documents and 2 counts of false statements. And the combination of the concealing possession and the false statements, when you dive into the details of how over the top explicit Trump and some in his team were in their efforts to obstruct the National Archives, as well as the DOJ, the FBI from getting these documents back, it is almost comical. But we're gonna start with some of the more serious categories of documents. What was the nature of the things that he was trying to conceal? We're gonna get started with this.
It seems to me, reading what Jack Smith has written here in this indictment, that this is multiple documents. Just listen to this description. The classified documents Trump stored in his boxes included information regarding defense and weapon capabilities of both the United States and foreign countries, plural, not a single foreign country, foreign countries. United States nuclear programs, again, plural. Potential vulnerabilities of the United States and its allies to military attack. It's hard to imagine more sensitive documents.
And look, there's obviously a lot more that in theory we could learn about the documents. We probably won't, but if you look at the indictment, it does give a full accounting of the overall content of each one of them. Only one that I saw was actually about the nuclear programs, but there was the one about the United States nuclear programs. Many documents having to do with specific military actions, hypothetical military actions, comparisons of capabilities. And so we've now debated for what it feels like a year about how significant all of this is. And I feel like in a variety of ways, all of it is a little bit worse than we thought. And we'll get into a few different ways, but let's start off with the actual documents.
Yeah, so look guys, I'm in the camp of every time cable news hosts scream shocking developments, that they are not shocking, especially when it comes to Donald Trump. Like if you're shocked at this point that Donald Trump's a crook, man, I'm not sure that things can help you, right? So overall, whenever I see these things revealed, they are almost exactly what I suspected, because I know that Donald Trump's a lifelong criminal and he can't help himself. But in this case, it's over the top, man, even for Donald Trump. And the one thing in particular that I'm gonna come to in a second. So the 38 counts, I don't really care how many counts there are. There could be 138, there could be 3. The severity of the counts matters the most. He says at some point, as we'll talk about more about in a sec, what if there were no documents to his lawyers? Like, wouldn't it be nice? He says in 3-4 different ways, wouldn't it be nice if these documents weren't around anymore, right? But he's a wannabe mobster. That's not at all surprising to me, okay? And he's such an idiot. He always admits his crimes on tape, and he's done that here as well. None of that is shocking to me. He's got it in the bathrooms, he's got it in the ballrooms. The ballroom was a little shocking. We'll come back to that in a second too. But the main thing is what you just saw in that report. It's as bad as it could possibly be. He's got our defenses, he's got our vulnerabilities, and he's got our nuclear program. And he's got other countries' defenses and vulnerabilities. That is the most top secret things we have. Now, those had been alluded to before, but you just don't know the severity of it until you see the indictment. And now we've seen it. It's a 10 out of 10. I don't know that there's been a larger national security breach, especially because he had them lying around. I mean, right now, if you're a foreign country and you didn't have a spy at Mar-a-Lago, you gotta be kicking yourself. They were just sitting there. The most important national secrets we have, and anybody could have walked in and taken them. It's or at least copied them. Unreal violation of national security. So we'll get to insane MAGA reactions later, because of course they don't care about the law. But if you were gonna care about national security, this is the case you would care about.
Yes, and to your point about spies in Mar-a-Lago, Mar-a-Lago is known as a den of international spies because it's very easy to get it. In fact, there was correct me if I'm wrong, there was a Chinese spy who was busted there a while ago. And for every one that gets busted, you can only imagine how many don't get busted, because once a place becomes a den, then other spies want to be there too. And other assets and other agents want to be there as well, because they're hearing things from the other spies. And so every intelligence operation worth its salt was easily getting people in there, because all you had to do was pay the Mar-a-Lago, membership, and then you can just walk right in and, hey, there's the former president. Oh, there's Kevin McCarthy. Here's all these people around the former president. Oh, what are those boxes? Oh, interesting. Those are maybe I'll go check some of those out. So it stands to reason that any kind of spook that worked their way in there would have had an opportunity to just rifle through these things. Where's the bathroom? Back and on the left. Okay, yeah. I might be a bit, something's not sitting well with me, and then they're just in there for an hour, and then just rifling through. And they could come back at will, just to, like you said, with a cell phone, just taking pictures. You don't even have to steal the documents. Although it's important to note that the alleged Iran war plans that were drawn up and that Trump showed off, and that Trump acknowledged were secret and that he shouldn't have, like acknowledged on tape, those are still apparently missing. Like somebody got those war plans, so who's got them? Now, good. I'm glad. Like, if it means we're less likely to go to war with Iran, good. However, these are the rules that this government plays by, and you can't imagine a bigger violation of them than that.
Yeah, I just want to add to that real quick. So the Iran documents were in Bedminster, New Jersey, and that's where Trump is on tape, telling the biographers of Mark Meadows, "Oh yeah, these are classified. So I did not declassify them." I mean, confession on tape. Yeah. Idiot, total idiot, verbal diarrhea, right? If you're MAGA, you should be.
Bedminster, another den of spies, yeah.
Exactly. If you're MAGA, you should be furious with Trump. Like, stop committing crimes. They're coming after you. Why do you keep committing them? And then why do you keep admitting it on tape? Yeah. But the point is, the investigators went to Mar-a-Lago. They didn't go to Bedminster, New Jersey. So that's why we don't have the Iran documents. And apparently, Trump had some documents shipped, or on a plane with him to New Jersey. So the New Jersey documents, God knows how many there are, and it appears that they have not been recovered. Yeah, this guy's a lunatic. He's still holding on to documents. He's an unbelievable criminal. Unbelievable criminal.
Yeah, I have to assume that, although obviously they can't say it publicly, like Stephen Miller and all of these MAGA people, inside they've got to be so frustrated with him. Like they listen to him, say that they're coming for me, they're coming for me. It's like a guy saying the bears are coming for me, and then just slathering himself with honey, and then just skipping around outside. Like, yeah, the bears are coming for you, but like, could you cool it with the honey? Yeah. By the way, look, I understand that many people online, many conservatives think that I have Trump derangement syndrome. But I apologize. I don't assume the worst in any of these cases. Even a document that they say is about America's nuclear program, that can mean a lot of different things. It's not necessarily like, here's the 4-step plan to make a MIRV. Not necessarily. But the thing is, when you read into Trump's behavior, this is not like he took one paper from a whole bunch about nukes or something. He was like, I just want something to represent the great times that I had. These are the documents that he held on to after multiple rounds of giving back other documents, that he has engaged in a multi-pronged effort to obstruct the investigation, possibly destroyed some, considered destroying others. So I don't know how serious the documents are, but everything about his behavior is telling me that they are very important documents. Now, in terms of that obstruction, and there's so much that I want to get to, let's jump into a little bit of an overview of what's been revealed in that area.
And then the description of the obstruction, which is clearly central to this case, is not just that he took these documents with him, but that he tried mightily to prevent the federal government from getting the documents back, to defy a subpoena, multiple subpoenas, saying, as you mentioned, suggesting his attorneys hide or destroy documents, suggesting that his attorneys lie in a sworn statement to say that all the documents had been turned over. And of course, what we've mentioned regarding Walt Nauta, who was his valet in the White House, a young aide, a Navy veteran, suggesting, ordering him to move these documents.
They mentioned there Walt Nauta. He appears to be the guy that's going to be charged over conspiracy. Donald Trump appears to have asked ChatGPT, what are all of the ways you can try to obstruct an investigation? And then he just treated it like a bucket list. And he did all of it. He did seemingly lots of it on tape. Like, can you imagine if Joe Biden had one of these things related to Burisma or whatever? The right would be absolutely losing it. I have not heard a single right-wing pundit who has a problem with any of these comments. Let's destroy the documents, let's not give them back, let's pretend that we did. All of this stuff, they have completely ignored it, conveniently, because it makes defending Trump very difficult at that point. But in any event, let's jump to consequences. If you take a look at this graphic, a summary of all of the individual charges, listing potential penalties as a relate of them, both financial as well as times potentially spent in prison. There's an incredibly good chance that he will spend no time in prison whatsoever, but theoretically it could result in well over 100 years in prison. Now, we should bear in mind the possibility that you've predicted that Biden could pardon him. In a trial like this that could potentially take a couple of years to reach its conclusion, Donald Trump could already be president long before that. He could preemptively pardon himself. So all of that is true. That said, we have more to get to, but first, what do you think about all of that?
Yeah, first on the Trump pardon, I looked up, hey, is this case likely to be done by the time the 2024 election is done? And no one knows for sure, of course, because you never know how a case is gonna proceed. But the consensus for now is, no, it is not likely to be done. Are you kidding me? If he becomes president, he's gonna pardon himself on day one, and all of this is gonna be for nothing. Like the incompetence of Biden's administration is legendary. Like while the right wing says, oh my God, they're so tough and crazy and they're going after him and it's a witch hunt, etc. Meanwhile, reality, Biden administration's sitting around for 3 years going, what? Oh no, it's too late. Oh, guy, a bunch of losers, if you ask me. I'm glad that they put Jack Smith in charge. He seems to be an actual competent prosecutor, as opposed to Merrick Garland, who's pathetic. Biden, who, to be fair to Biden, he doesn't have anything to do with the case, and I believe him on that. So now, but he does hire incompetents like Merrick Garland and tells them to be weak and soft. Anyways, in terms of the double standard that the right wing constantly complains about, guys, look, you're never gonna listen because you don't want to, but let me just explain it in case any of you care about the truth 1%, okay? If Trump had taken some documents home, like Pence, Biden, I don't know how they got the Pence in Biden's house, whatever. He takes them home, he looks at them. He shouldn't have them, it's illegal to have them. He shouldn't look at him, it's illegal to look at him. And they're relatively benign, right? Like, oh, hey, this is my love letter with Kim Jong-un, which he did take home, all the memorabilia, etc. Dude, you're not supposed to take those home. Should we prosecute him? Of course not, right? That's a relatively honest mistake. In this case, it's not benign. It's the most sensitive secrets we have. Then the government says, oh, Mr. President, there's been an oversight apparently by you. We know you have top secret documents. Please return them. And he's like, no. No, what do you mean no? What do you mean no? And then he's like, oh, can we destroy them? What? Are you insane? Okay, and then he tells his lawyers to lie about him. And then he has his valet move them around the house so that his own lawyers can't find them, let alone the prosecutors and the FBI. Do you not get that that's the actions of a guy who is a clear criminal and a potential lunatic? You don't understand that? Okay, so you say so there is no double standard. If Biden had done, or you don't have any idea the hundreds, maybe thousands of times we've criticized Joe Biden and Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton on this show. If they had done the same thing, I'd be like, are you mental? If Bernie Sanders had taken the nuclear materials and our defenses and had them lying around in Vermont on his porch, I'd be like, are you insane? Why did you do that? I would say he should be arrested, okay? Guys, here's what apparently no one in America has thought of. It's possible that the establishment hates Donald Trump and holds them to a different standard. And by that, they just mean apply the law to him, whereas they don't really love to apply the law to other powerful people. But it could also be true at the same time that Donald Trump is a lifelong criminal who can't help himself and slathers himself in honey and breaks every law in the world. Both things can be true at the same time. Now, this is really important. When you look at Nada, the valet or the guy who's helping him, so far it looks like he's sticking with Trump. But if that dude breaks, and these are serious charges, a former president going to prison for 100 years is very unlikely. Rando, who's helping him going to prison, is the most common thing in the whole wide world. You're telling me that dude's gonna risk going to prison for several decades? Maybe, and maybe not.
It's so amazing because, like you said, all he had to do was give them back. Yep. Like, you don't have to destroy the documents in order to get out of the trouble that you're in for having taken the documents. Like, you're the president, they're gonna give you an enormous amount of deference. Like, hey dude, you accidentally took our Iran war plan. Can we just get all that stuff back? If he's like, yes, my bad, didn't mean to take the Iran war plans, thought I had declassified them, I forgot to, here, take them back. There is no universe where they prosecute that. Like, can you imagine the prosecutor getting up and saying, he took all of these boxes, we asked for the boxes back, he returned the boxes, but he had them illegally from January 21st up until August of 2021, and for that stretch of period, we're prosecuting him for possession and mishandling of classified documents. Like, that case wouldn't even fly on MSNBC. Instead, can we destroy them? Can we hide them? Just the stupidest thing you could ever imagine, and it raises a question of what goes through his mind when he says witch hunt, when he says the deep state is out to get me? Like, does he not believe that? Like, is he such a creature of television and storytelling that he doesn't actually think there is any material reality? Like, he's just telling a story about the deep state. And they say mean things about him, so he doesn't like them. But he doesn't, in his mind, he has a hard time, I guess, understanding that the thing he's saying might actually be true. Like, they might actually not like you. They might actually prosecute you on a crime if they can catch you on one. But he doesn't seem to get that. Yeah. Because if he did, he wouldn't hand them crimes on a silver platter. Friend of the show, Cernovich, said on, I say that sarcastically, said on Twitter.
Deeply sarcastically.
He said Trump walked into this. And I think that's actually a fair, interesting way of putting it. Like, if you're Trump and you know that, or you think that they're out to get you, what on earth are you doing?
Yeah.
By making it this easy. I mean, they're like, so it's truly incredible, and it raises questions about, like you said, how in touch he is with reality. Like, is he such a carnival barker? Is he such a circus guy that he thinks the whole world is a circus and that there is nothing behind the curtain? And so he's actually then shocked to find out that there is a reality behind all of the kind of the fantasy that he has spent his entire life producing this, like, he was a fake businessman. He constructed everything around him out of nothing. Even the fact that he's a good businessman. If he put his dad's money in index funds, he'd be richer than he is today. And so maybe he just doesn't believe that there is any such thing as reality. And so that has made him incapable of acting like remotely rationally in a situation where it's, hey, dude, you took these documents. Can we get them back? The answer should be just like, yes. Like, I'm not fighting the Department of Justice when I myself made the Espionage Act tougher as president and locked people up under the Espionage Act. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I got to say a couple quick things about that. Number one, if he had just given the documents back, I would defend him. I would say, wait a minute. Of course. Yeah, Hillary Clinton had the server. Biden and Pence have things, and they all gave it back. That's crazy. No, you can't charge them for that, right? But not giving it back and hiding it and trying to destroy them. Guys, it's not just that it's an over-the-top crime. It shows intent. He was obviously trying to do something with those documents. He wasn't keeping them around just for, they'll make nice things that I could put my coffee on. No. He was gonna do something, if he didn't already, something deeply nefarious with them. You don't take the most secret documents and then not give them back if you weren't planning to do something awful with them, okay? So now look, there's a political scandal, I don't remember who it was, but they said, look, I handed the guys trying to get me, I handed them a gun and they shot me with it. It's an analogy, right? In this case, Trump handed them several AR-15s and a bazooka. And then when they shot him with a BB gun, he's like, right? Like, in terms of what Ryan is saying, the reason he might live in a completely different reality than us is because he has his whole life. So his dad gives him $413 million. He blows every part of it, 6 different bankruptcies, and then they put him on television as the most successful businessman in America. So he's got to be thinking there is no truth.
Yeah.
All there is stories that we tell people.
Yep.
And then he blows that $400 million he got from NBC for The Apprentice. And then he runs as the most successful businessman and he wins the presidency. He's broken, it appears, dozens of laws throughout his life. I don't know if he made it into triple digits and never had 1 ounce of accountability. If you were him, could you really blame him for thinking, no, there's never going to be any consequences for me?
Yeah, even little he gets caught in all of these affairs. It doesn't seem to hurt him in terms of his home life. The way that he treats his kids, they haven't rebelled against him. There's just it really does feel like at some point for this movie to feel right, there needs to be character growth, and that can only come from consequences. So we'll have to see.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.